Hey guys, Brian, Colorado Camperman here. Just wanted to do a video actually on how to fix some water damage in your camper. Unfortunately, I found some new water damage in the camper, and I've dealt with this before. As you may have seen on my earlier videos, I actually rebuilt this entire bunk area because I originally found water damage in that corner. But I reframed it and rebuilt the entire floor and part of the walls and everything too. The way I found out that I have some water damage here is I have a tube that comes off my pump and then runs under here and hooks up, to my faucet. We went camping and I knew not to do this, but I made the mistake of filling up my water tank. A couple days later, it froze because I didn't drain it in time. Anyhow, when I was getting ready to replace this hose on the other side of this little wall, I saw some brown spots through the wallpaper here, which I kind of noticed before, but I noticed them in more detail. Peeled it back and looked back here and saw that it looks like it had been a little moldy at one time, and the water damage just kept on going. So I started ripping on this all apart, and I was like, oh geez, it goes behind the oven too. So I was like, oh geez, I gotta rip out the oven now. So I ripped out the oven, and now I'm basically gonna show you guys what all you need to do to fix water damage, because I'm now becoming the expert at this in campers, since I've had to deal with this a lot in this camper. So the first thing that I did was I ripped off as much of this wallpaper as possible. So I just ripped it off real easily. Over here, parts of the wood did come off, which I don't really care. This is behind the oven, and this ultimately is a $400 camper. So I'm just ripping all this off. The next thing that I'm going to do is I need to get all this wallpaper off for as much as possible. I'm a professional painter. I've been painting for 10 years. The best way I've found to remove wallpaper is with just a brush and then a bucket of water. And basically you just paint water, or put water on all this wallpaper and then scrape it off. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And then I'm going to wipe the walls real good and the floor real good with some Clorox disinfecting wipes. You could also use like bleach water, but something that's going to kill all this mold. And you always want to make sure your surface is clean prior to painting it, otherwise the paint will not adhere. So I'll wipe down the floor, I'll wipe down the walls and all that after I remove as much of this wallpaper as I can. Alright, so here we are now, and we're just going to take our brush with water, dip it in water. And you can already see right here the wallpaper starting to come off. We're just gonna soak this. Just get it pretty darn wet. And then I ripped all this wallpaper off with a scraper. And so that's all I'm gonna do again. If I can find my scraper, here we are. No, okay, well yeah. Once I find my scraper, then I'll scrape all this off, and it should pretty much come off for the most part. But yeah, you just get it real wet. I would highly recommend not using like that wallpaper removal stuff, like that gooey stuff and like one of those scores that will put holes in your wall. I highly recommend not using that. So here we go. Got my scraper now. Just gonna scrape this off, and you can see it's starting to come off. I'll wet it a little bit more, and then just keep scraping away. It's definitely a lot of work. Wallpaper's a pain in the butt to get rid of. Alright, so I've been peeling away at this for a while here, and now it's starting to come off. But one reason you want to remove all your wallpaper, not just paint over it, is latex is water-based paint. If you were to paint directly over this, this would probably happen with your paint, more than likely. Even if you use an oil-based paint, it still probably is going to do it. So you got to get as much of this wallpaper off as possible. So that's pretty good. We basically got it all off. Let this dry a little bit and just kind of wipe it down one more time, and we should be good with this section. Now I'm going to work on the rest of it. Okay, so I got everything all scraped off. So this is kind of what you want it to look like. You know, get all that wallpaper off as much as you can. It may still look a little like this, which should be okay. And then you let it dry out. And then I wiped it all down, every surface, with those Clorox wipes. I used the blade to cut some of the old caulking. The other thing I didn't mention before, but you always want to make sure you use a respirator, a decent one when you're dealing with mold. That definitely was moldy. I mean, I could definitely smell it, and it was mold. After I got it wet, you could really smell it. And yeah, so now our surfaces are cleaned. We got the wallpaper off, and we let the surface dry a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead and apply the Sherwin multi-purpose latex primer, and it's a stain blocker. It's really great stuff. It's pretty comparable to Kills, so you could use Kills. We just use this on all of our jobs with my painting company, so I just have some extra lying around, and that's what we're going to use. So now we're going to get everything all primed up here. So I got everything all primed up here. I just got done, so everything's still really wet. I went ahead and I just ripped out all the hosing. I'm just going to replace it all just in case it did freeze any of the other parts of it. But anyway, it's going to wait for this to dry. Then along the bottom here, where there's these cracks, I'm just going to caulk all those. And then I'll put some paint on it. So one thing that I wanted to mention was that after I rip this off, obviously, you know, you can still see the roughness of the wood and everything. I don't mind at all because, again, this is behind the stove, so I can care less what it looks like. If you don't want it to look like that and you want it to get a smoother, nicer finish, you could use a high build primer. That's what I use on these walls because they looked pretty much exactly like this. The primer that I used was Sherwin Prime RX. And it's basically like a primer and a caulking in one. So it would fill in and smooth out all this where it's got a height difference between where the wood was peeled off and where it still is existing. So that's another option if you have a wall like this that's showing and you need it to be nice and smooth. Get that Sherwin Prime RX. So I just got done caulking here. I got everything all primed and then I caulked it. I personally prefer to prime first and then caulk. So I caulked, you know, anywhere where there's a crack. So all along here, down in the corner, you know, all in there, and then again up here. And the reason I caulk after I prime is because then your surface is a little smoother. So you don't get splinters as easily, which those really hurt. So just personal preference, you can go caulking first and then prime, it doesn't really matter. And then I use Sherwin Max, which is their top of the line caulking. And the reason I use this versus their bottom of the barrel stuff is this caulking will flex a lot better and it's not going to crack. So one thing I do want to mention and make note of, or make you guys aware of, is you want to caulk anywhere where moisture can get in, where water can get in. Okay. You also want to caulk wherever you think you had a water problem. So I think this problem was all from the exterior, which actually I caulked on the outside, and I'll show you guys where I use a clear caulking here, so it's kind of hard to see. But I caulked all along here and then all around the window as well too, which again you can't see it because I use a clear caulking. I also use one that's paintable because I'm going to be painting the outside. I mean, I caulked around the low point and then my where the gray water comes out. I caulked around the propane there. everywhere where there was a gap or crack I caulked, including the roof. So you want to make sure you caulk where your water was coming in. And if you don't know where it was coming in, just look for areas where the caulking is cracked and then just fill that up with caulking. So we got everything all painted up. So here's what it looks like. Just use a white interior paint that I have laying around and put that in here. I used a flat. Normally I would use something with either like a satin or semi-gloss finish. Usually satin, that's what I put on the walls here. But this will work. So, got all painted up. I had to put the battery back in, so I'm gonna need to move that and then paint where the battery is sitting. That's pretty much it. So again, steps for sealing up water damage in the camper. So first off, you know, scrape your area like I did. If you have something like that going on, then you're gonna want to go ahead and wash your surface, kill any mold that may exist, and then prime your areas that you're gonna be painting, and then caulk. Make sure that you seal any areas where the moisture was coming in, and then lastly put your top coat of paint on, and should have things all taken care of. So that's pretty much it. So thanks for checking things out here, guys, on how to fix water damage in your camper. Good luck out there, and we'll see you later.